Hey, everybody, welcome to this week's episode of Pensado's Place. It's great to be with you. You're going to meet Slushii, an amazing future thinking DJ, music futurist. Folks like Tiesto and Skrillex call him the next generation torch carrier. Had a virtual concert on Fortnite. This is a bad boy, a talented boy. You're going to meet him in just a second. But the reason for all the excitement, NAMM is coming and we're going to be smoking and we want you there. We're doing four things actually. Thursday in our own ballroom. Come to Pensadopalooza. We're going to be giving stuff away with KRK and you will meet, he's up for producer of the year. We'll have a conversation with Hit Boy and his dad, Big Hit. And we're going to announce another special guest very shortly. That's 5 p.m. in room 204B. Go up the escalator, look for B. We're in there. Get there early, get some prizing. On Friday, we've got a spatial audio panel with some killer folks so you can learn how your mixes can be better. We've got execs from Apple. We've got A&R people from BMG. We've got Embody, which is the plugin you want for all things spatial. We're going to have Mike Miller, an incredible Atmos mix engineer, and Jason LaRocca has done everything from Call of Duty up for 2 Grammys. Again, 5 p.m. on Friday, room 204B. And then on Saturday, Pensado's Place presents Mentoring with the Experts. And what we're going to be talking about is the future of sampling with DJ Jazzy Jeff the Legend and DJ Dahi. Serato's helping us out with that. That's going to be 2 p.m. on Saturday in the Idea Center. Go through all that, get your NAMM app, come see us, get there early, win prizes, win stuff, party time. And without further ado, enjoy our conversation with Slushii. Welcome, man.
Hi.
So good to see you. So good to see you. Talk about pressure when people like Skrillex and Zed and Tiesto and Steve Aoki say you're the next thing, you're the future of it moving forward. How does that sit with you?
Um, it's it's really surreal
Mm-hmm.
because I grew up listening to all of those guys
Mm-hmm.
and like just to like, even like brush shoulders with some of my heroes. It's been like, just surreal.
Yeah,
It's been a
yeah.
very like almost like a lucid dream almost.
I had a way back in the Prince era, I met an engineer who worked with Fleetwood Mac, and I became very close to them. And Mick Fleetwood was his roommate, and the guy's name was Richard Dashit, and he said to me, "Never stop being a fan, no matter where you go." So that awe, the wonder is, I think, important,
Mm.
and even with you, because what's interesting about you is to me, you're a 360 kind of artist. You'll do one thing, it'll lead to the next thing, then you'll do that, and it'll lead to the next thing. So you start producing, start making music, and then you started DJing just cause, and then that turns into other stuff. Has that been the journey?
Yeah, it's always been kind of just like uh, go with the flow and do whatever feels right at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
And some days it'll be dubstep, some days it'll be trap music or lo-fi, or
Mm-hmm.
every now and then, like because I did like jazz improv class in high school.
Yeah,
I'll try to you know bust out some chords every now and then.
absolutely.
But it's always just depending on the day,
Yeah.
and I think that's what keeps it fun and interesting for me.
Well, when I look at everything, performance and instrumentalists and back in the Deuteronomy days
Yeah.
and gaming and all these sort of platforms and things that remixing the visual artist stuff, there's so much incoming today that is artistry that an artist like yourself can't help but be affected by it all. Like you can't say, I'm going to silo myself over here and ignore these amazing things that go over there, right? Do they all inform you? Is that what happens?
A lot of the time, honestly, I'll like kind of try to shut myself out as much as I can
Mm-hmm.
because initially I started my musical journey with a core like 5 or 6 artists that like inspired the sound.
Mm-hmm.
And whenever I'm like, I love to hear music out and about and be inspired. Like I'll hear
Mm-hmm.
something and something I've been watching the Beatles Now and Then documentary
Amazing.
recently, and
Yeah.
something that Paul McCartney always says is that like if you remember
Mm-hmm.
the lyrics and if
Mm-hmm.
it's a tune that sticks in your head for more than like a day and it
Mm-hmm.
sticks there, that's kind of like my litmus test for
Gotcha.
like a song now is like
That's the bar, the
like if
standard.
I can't get it out, then I
Right.
gotta
Then
just
got to deal with it.
yeah.
Yeah. I find that great artistry. Tell me if you see this. I think great artists, not all artists, but great artists are insatiably curious. That you want to know more and you want to be informed. You agree? Do you see it that way?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Like, because whenever there's like a new, and I think that's one of the really cool parts about like the producer community is that like when somebody does something new,
Mm-hmm.
like there's this crazy like wet, almost like thermal
Yeah,
sounding,
yes, yes.
it's so it just takes you off guard,
Mm-hmm.
and you're
Mm-hmm.
just like floored by it.
Yeah,
Like the first time, and it almost puts you in a state of like shock.
yeah.
Like I've heard certain
Absolutely.
songs.
And I'm also, are you this way? I am helpless when it's great music. I'm drawn to it like a moth, like a fly.
Hmm.
I had convinced myself to not do certain things in my career, and then somebody who had great music, I was like, well, maybe I'll just do it this time. And as we talked before this, the things that have gotten you interested in other things are just part of it is just stuff that you love, and then you get an opportunity. Correct?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's really a lot of like happy accidents.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's I live my life the same way I did when I was like 18, and
Hmm.
just I'll watch an episode of like an anime or a movie, and I'll get like a weird like niche line, like a line from the movie will
Sure.
stick out to me as like a maybe a chord progression or like a lyric or something like that, and then
Hmm.
it's just okay. Like I've ditched my family so many times during movie
Gotta
night.
go.
Just going back up to the room.
I gotta go. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Now it's clear to me. I probably need to talk to your representatives. That you're struggling in the gaming area because you only have, Fortnite and and Rocket League. We need to get to some bigger stuff. Amazing, right? The gaming
Yeah.
space and the music and how it ties together. Give me your perspective. It's fascinating.
I think it's almost like symbiotic in a way because it's like I just got finished playing the new Spider-Man
Hmm.
game on PlayStation, and it's like the way the music hits when you first start swinging around the city,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it stops right when you get into a
Wow.
cutscene, and like the way that they know to like crescendo in the last note
Yeah,
right when you're entering an encounter.
yeah,
It just like I noticed little stuff like that, or how
yeah.
like on the controllers, like when you're shooting webs and stuff like that, you can hear it in the
Yes.
controller separate from the speakers, so it creates like almost like a 4D experience.
Amazing.
So I
Amazing.
love stuff like that. It's like
The other thing I found is now I play Call of Duty. I live for Call of Duty every November. I don't play with anybody else. I just suck it down for 3 days and I'm disappointed when it's done. So then I'll go back and play campaigns. But what I noticed in the evolution of doing it over the last 6 or 8 years is now I can go in and really adjust the audio. I
yeah.
can, I can do things. I can not quite remix it, but they like make it available for you to enhance that
Hmm.
stuff. And I think for our audience, that's why we always say to people, your skill set in this, you can utilize a number of different places. You don't have to only hope you get to mix Imagine Dragons. There's all kinds of places that you can go. And you're an example of going places and allowing yourself to be taken there, right? You
Yeah,
need that freedom, correct?
absolutely. And it's one of those things where, you know, I think as long as music is the forefront,
Mm-hmm.
like, I love like some of my favorite songs are like crossover tracks,
Yeah.
like Walk This Way,
Yeah.
like the Rick Rubin stuff, like
Oh yeah.
Jay-Z and Linkin Park,
Yeah.
or
Oh,
like
Fantastic stuff.
Living Color and Run DMC did a
Yeah.
collab for the Judgment Night soundtrack.
Yep.
Like those kind of like crazy X Factor kind of collabs where
Yeah.
it's like two worlds colliding. That's like the music that I live for.
Yeah.
Like when you hear it for the first time, you're just like, yeah, like,
Oh my God.
Anthrax, Public Enemy, Bring the Noise.
Yeah. Yeah.
That song's like I wasn't even alive when that song came out,
Right.
but that song just does something to me every time I hear it, and it's just the two sounds like.
I think when it feels to me, because I like a lot of that too, and in my car I'm often the annoying guy that's beside the person at the red light, and they're going, "Why is this old cat like rocking out?" And there's something liberating in the worlds colliding, and then you find something that moves you in particular that wouldn't have happened if the worlds didn't collide. And then
Yeah.
I've got to play it over and over and over and over. I think the way it inspires an artist then allows you to go, let me go find my version of this, or let me use it to go, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I can imagine are you still, is your setup still Ableton and your laptop and plugins, or have you taken it farther than that?
Right now it's Ableton with just an Apollo and a WA7B.
Is that the warm audio stuff?
Yes.
Yeah. Warm's really good.
I love it so
Warm's
much.
really good.
So that's like my main setup. I have like a Yeti arm that just hangs. It's like this is my couch. Laptop's on the coffee table. So this is actually kind of similar to my setup.
Gotcha.
So like the arm would be here, and it would go over, and then the mic hangs
your
here.
mic's right there.
So I can like just while I'm rendering, I have the TV here. I can just like play video games or something, and I mix in headphones.
Oh, gotcha. Oh, you do. Oh, really cool. I think that the notion of mixing in headphones is more and more current, and we've been having lots of discussions about spatial audio and being able to utilize that in your headphones. So if that's helpful, I can hook you up.
I have so many ideas.
Oh, these people love you. So we'll do stuff. And it speaks to something else that you shared. One of the things that Pensado's Place has been really fortunate about is we've had people who have had their particular life set has had certain challenges or certain conditions or certain situations. Early on, when we talked to 40, who was Drake's incredible, brilliant partner. Legend. And Men's a Level Bright. And he talked about dealing with multiple sclerosis. Ricky Reed came on, Lizzo's person, 6 or 7 years ago, was one of the first people to talk about mental health and the importance of dealing with it. So we've had a number of people become. You've been on the autistic. You're on the autistic spectrum, right? And there's some things in that space, from what I know about it, that absolutely can enhance your artistry and make you think about things in different ways. And this is not necessarily a burden. It's a situation that you have to deal with, correct? That you can utilize in some ways, right? And you live with it. It doesn't control you. Explain how the process has been for you.
It's definitely like for me personally, it's like a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde type of situation. Like middle school, I was very low functioning, wasn't very social at all. And then I started to learn music, and music kind of became a first language for me. So I could only, I wouldn't tell you about it. I'd write a song to explain to you what I would want to say.
Right.
So by the time I was maybe 13 or 14, I'd written, I still have 8 or 9 full 14 to 15 track albums.
Really?
So I just always had a love for, just making stuff.
Yeah.
Just even if it if it sounded cool to me, then I would just I made album covers for them and everything, and I was always focused on branding since a very early age.
I love it.
But I would say the downside is it never shuts off. So I'm sure a lot of producers can relate, where it's you want to sleep and it's 3 a.m. and you get that melody idea.
Right.
You jump out of bed, you run downstairs, and either you get it down, or by the time you run downstairs, it's gone.
It's gone. Yeah.
So that's kind common producer plight. But it's so accelerated because of my condition that it's like.
Now, you also shared with me that in the journey, there was a time between a manager and an old business process that it took you to a kind of dangerous place, right? Did you OD? Is that what happened?
Yeah. So I overdosed last year. I thankfully I had family and friends to actually like support and be by my side during that time.
Thank you, family and friends.
Yes. It was just one of those things. It was like the worst timing. You know, it was one of those weeks where the storm was just
too much.
Was just right here.
Yeah.
You know, and everything was just like, I just was not in the right state of mind at all.
Right.
And, you know.
And here you are.
Yeah, here I am. But you know, I'm very happy to say that you know, my mom and my best friends were really, really there to help me kind of piece my mind back together afterwards, because overdosing on the spectrum is like a totally different,
it's a whole other thing.
Like, I am still sort of like trying to piece back together my reality.
Sure.
Because it's like it's a whole thing, but I feel a lot better now than I did then.
And I think what's important is that for people who are in the audience who are dealing with things, to know that you can deal with it, and that there's something on the other side. And if you find your way through it, and if you have a support system, it's often why we talk about have a support system. It could be your family, could be your significant other, could be a friend. It doesn't matter what it is. Life's going to have challenges no matter what you deal with, and you try to fight your way through it so you can live another day. And this is a classic example of doing that, and doing it with blue hair. I mean, just think about it. I mean, how many people do it with blue hair? Not that
but
many.
I would also say that I'm also an example of, you know, like, be responsible.
Yes.
And, you know, I'm very lucky to be here. And, you know, all the doctors said that I'm very, very lucky to be here. And I was given a second chance. And that's what really kind of kicked a lot of things in the high gear for me when it comes to just like, I'm done messing around. I really just like, I had never been pulled that far away from music.
Right.
And I was in the industry. So it just created this like yin yang effect where like I wasn't making music because I was depressed. And then because of like, it created this like Ouroboros effect.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, you know, now thankfully I'm getting my mojo back a little bit, but.
Could I ask you to do me a favor?
Yes.
Hang around. Stay with us. The world needs you. Or I do. Forget about the world. I do. The idea that we, and particularly you, get a chance to inform or to try or break new ground or have somebody be inspired by the fact that you'll go there. We need folks like that. The world needs folks like that. And so I'm not surprised at all at your success, but it's even more so because you're following your artistic sort of muse, and it happens to be happening to you. You know what I mean? Right?
It's like, I would have been doing this even if I wasn't making any money anyway.
That's right.
You know? So it's like, I honestly wanted to be a music teacher. Like, if it didn't work out, I wanted to teach because like, I wanted to at least, you know, pass this information that I got from my inspiration that they got from it. So I believe that it's a thing that you're supposed to pass on.
100%.
You know, and if I end it here,
you didn't do anything.
You know, and there's a whole generation of young producers out there that were just like me, bullied in high school, maybe are on the spectrum, and that are maybe, you know, have the odds stacked against them. You know, my first 2-3 years coming up, you know, I got so much hate and so much, you know, just backlash for no good reason.
Right.
You know, and it was just like, you know, I thought it was because I was autistic, and I took it as like, I took it super personal,
Sure.
which is like,
How can you not? Yeah.
but now it's like, in the industry, you kind of have to have tough
Yeah,
skin.
you do. You do.
But yeah,
Yeah. Julian Slushii makes a great point that um, you're going to have elbows thrown at you, and what ends up happening is it's you're either winning or you're learning. And if you remember that, it helps you get through the tough parts. You're not winning or losing, you're winning or learning. And then once you learn how to avoid the mistake the next time, or you learn how to avoid that X factor, right?
mm-hmm.
You get better, I think, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. You get wiser, I think. Uh, Now, the future, is there anything that you haven't done that you want to do?
I would love to. I would love to score a movie.
Oh man,
Would
no
love to score a
question.
game.
No question.
Um, I really, I have an affinity for remastering things and like cleaning things up, and you know, more than I love preservation of music. So I would love to one day get into like I love the idea of spatial mixing
Yeah.
and being able to actually
I'm gonna hook you up.
visualize where everything is, because I just feel like there's so many different deeper levels we can go with spatial audio where you can like, I know they're already like throwing instruments around and stuff like that,
Right.
and yeah, it's just it's really cool. I would love to build an album from the ground up with spatial audio in mind, because there's a plugin where you can it's like, it came out right before, or I found out about it right before spatial audio hit Apple Music, and it was like a 3D panning plugin where it showed a human head, and you could like kind of pull the points around
The head. Oh my God.
yeah,
Amazing.
it's so cool.
Amazing. Wow. We know some folks in spatial audio will connect. Will connect you. They
I
will.
love it.
They will absolutely love it.
Even just to see how it works. I've seen the like the bounces of spatial audio, and it always, there's like is it mid side and then middle? I just always found that super interesting, how you could like pocket full entire instruments.
Amazing. We are shameless plug at NAMM. Pensado's Place is having a panel on spatial audio on Friday. We're having people from Apple and Embody and from record labels and artists. Be an interesting discussion. I'll talk to you about it. It might be interesting for you to attend, and because of the artists that I'd like to have on the panel, I just want them curious about spatial audio, or by then maybe you hear what something can happen, so your perspective. We'll talk about that. I think that's a really good thing.
I would love that.
The sense that I get from you that I also really like, and I think it's important for the audience to know, is that at some point in time, the contributions are all about making sure that the community can operate like a community. It's important to be a contributor to this thing. Do you feel that way?
Absolutely, yeah. Because it is a community. It's like, if I'm hurting or another producer is hurting, then their fans hurt too, and then the fans like it's all connected in some way, I believe, and we need to lift each other up, because I believe that there's room at the top for all of us. They say that there's like a finite amount of six. I don't believe that, because it's like you have all these amazing producers hopping on each other's records, and giving each other flowers and everything like that. Like I love what Tyler the Creator and like Pharrell have done together, and like just that again, the fusion of sounds and like just allowing weirder music to come out. Like it's awesome.
I think there's a commerce part to it as well, which is, I think fans feel it, and I think they vote sometimes with their money as to the person or the artist that they feel they connect to. Right. And and you have to actively work that bone. You can't just say, well, you're connected to me, I don't have to do anything about it. You have to earn it. They have to feel you, correct? Yeah.
And sometimes it takes like I've put songs out before where it's learning to read the audience and like figure out what works and what doesn't work. Like that's why I like to kind of throw anything out to
Yes.
kind of like see what, because I don't think there's really like a blueprint to it. So even if my stuff is a bit messy or it's a bit treble high, whatever, it's it's me.
I love that. I think that it should feel right to you. It doesn't have to be perfect. I think oftentimes in great music, the mistake becomes the hook, or the thing that you remember is the thing that somebody else would have taken out, and they become like, that's my thing, right? Like that's my jam because of that. Now there is this is the part of the show where we test your, 1 or 2 word answers. It's called Batter's Box. Generally, I'm going to do it this time because I'm going to give Dave, athletes that are pitchers need some games off. So this is my ode to the NFL, NBA.
Yes,
of course. Which you absolutely
touchdowns
understand.
and field goals.
All right. So whatever answers work, include Herb Go to Hell. You can do that too. Your favorite tempo.
Herb Go to Hell.
Very cute. Good. And that's Batter's Box. Good night. We're out.
Hey guys. Sorry. What was the first one?
Favorite tempo.
135.
Okay. Major or minor key?
Minor.
Okay. Groove.
Swing.
Bass.
Guitar.
Reverb?
A lot. Yes.
808s.
Thumping.
Performing live.
So fun. So fun.
Informs you?
Yeah.
Performing live?
I love it. Just like getting the feedback from the crowd is like really
nothing
cool.
like it.
But like I miss being in a band so much.
I wonder. Was bass your instrument?
I did I started on bass and then I moved to rhythm guitar and vocals.
Oh, you did? Got it.
We weren't very good.
Got you. Loops?
Drum loops.
Okay. And the esoteric question, which I think I know the answer to, is musical world domination.
Immoral.
Great answer. There's a higher angel to play to with, right?
Yeah.
Domination's the wrong thing.
Well, because domination would assume like there's one
everybody's
sound
underneath that.
and that's it.
Yeah.
And it's like there's just metal and country are so different that
last one, AI.
Helpful, but not yet.
Gotcha. In process. Got it. You optimistic about the future with music and what's going on?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not playing Batter's Box
with a question mark.
Yeah, okay.
Only because the future has always been like living in the present has always been something that I've it's been like the bane of my existence.
Sure.
So, but I trust that the producers of the future have got, they know what they're doing because it's really interesting because I think every generation has this oh, this is the death of this or the death of that or the death of this, and somebody comes along and reinvents it, and so I don't really think there's ever going to be the death of, because disco came back and 80s music came back and hip hop. Nas said hip hop was dead. And that didn't happen. So it's I feel like there's always revivals and there's, as long as there's somebody that thinks it's cool, they're just going to run with it. And, I love Dance Dance Revolution. And that's a big part of just my musical DNA because I've spent so long playing it. So I think it's cool and I'm going to keep doing it because I think it's cool. And that's that's the biggest thing that I learned about myself in the past year. I was kind of following, trying. I was lost in the wilderness musically.
Yeah.
And now I feel just 100% clarity in what I'm doing, and just like I'm ready. You know?
One of the things you do before we get out of here that I think is really smart, and another tip for you, is that you have equal importance put on what informed you in the past, and you haven't let go of that, and also looking into the future. And they seem to come together in ways that allow you to express yourself in the way that you want to. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think people think you get rid of things, you just move forward. I don't think so. I think you take them with you.
It's like when I listen to my old stuff, I like, because writing music for I feel like it just comes from somewhere else. Like maybe it comes from the subconscious or something, but I'll go back and listen to my old lyrics and I'll totally get what I was going through. But at the time I just wrote it as a song. But I'll look back and go, oh, well, that's obvious. I wrote that because of this, or because this happened. And it's just, I think it's so cool how like hindsight gives you, you know, music is the one of the mediums where you can really gain just perspective on your life, you know, through like, you know, I'm looking forward to being 60 and hearing what I made when I was 18, you know, just because it's beautiful.
And it will be a narrative of your life that's sitting there for all times that you can pass forward. So I think it's amazing. I only have to ask one other question. Can this not be the last show we do? Can you do some more?
I would love to, yeah.
We have to. There's so much to do and to talk about, and interesting, and for our audience, you know, we're careful when we say this, but every now and then we get lucky and we get to have genius on the show and go back and replay this and understand that whatever you may be dealing with, or whatever you may be hearing, or whatever you can have courage and go down the path and take that shot. And if you're lucky, you turn into Slushii. This is a bad boy.
But the luck came from not giving up.
There you go.
Because there were 1,000 times, even last night.
Yeah.
It still happens.
Yes.
It doesn't go away, but you can learn to say, okay, this is a thought, and the thoughts can't kill you.
Right.
You know?
Right.
So I go, okay, that's a thought. I'm either going to sleep it off or I'm going to write about it. And you know, finding a positive outlet it saved my life.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
It's part of the journey. And you're hearing a practitioner who said, even last night, as we taped this on a Monday, close to the holidays, that, and that's true for all of us. It's true for all the greats. It's not a perfect ride up. You wouldn't even have stuff to write about if it was a perfect ride up, right? Yeah. Sometimes those are the things that inspire you. We've had a great time. His name is Slushii. I'm Herb Chalk, you know, at Ode to Pensado, and we will see you next week. Bye.
Peace.